Xanax Hamster!
Sometimes, when Anne Marie's husband was quiet, she liked to pretend he was dead. It was moments like these that she relished: the click of her knitting needles, the hum of the refrigerator, the silence of her husband. She could never imagine he was actually dead, of course, because then the creature inside him would escape, and if that happened, she wouldn't have the heart to kill it.
Instructions. You will
Transcendent,
be
hearts
administered
ringing, true
seven
aim of our new
Holy
angelic.
Eucharist
From
wafers,
heaven
a
falls the
condensed
winged
breath of
bound
second
traitor
Christ over
who
7
sought to
days.
stifle our
Record your thoughts
knots
and
her
feelings
glory
each day.
awakened in pain
Thoughts one day.
that render pale
Her
all
Holiness made me eat a
mortification of the
white
flesh,
tablet, the
stitching
length and
ascension
width of
to
my
all
thumb with the word Clorox
clutch
embossed on
teeth
its
the
surface.
angel.
I'm starting with praise. I love the first line of yours. I think that it just like nailed the intrigue and the question and kind of like some of those central tone of the piece. Like it was an excellent first line.
Thank you. I tend to, when I think of stories, first line is the thing that hits me.
Mm.
1 second, I need to get rid of the cat. He's not supposed to be on the table. Okay. The first line is typically the thing that makes me start a story, and so I appreciate that that's what stood out to you because that's where the story started. It's like I just
Mm.
really like this idea of this person desperately wanting to kill her husband among all this really strange, just normal noises that would be going on in a house. So I really liked your the way that the format worked. I love pieces that have different formats and different ways of playing with language. I was curious when you were thinking about the piece, did you think about the format as you were building it, or did you just decide to see what happened as you wrote it, or something else?
Yes. So for this one, I have been, I was going to say I was going through, but I'm currently going through a fascination with these like direct narratives that are in the mind of somebody who is like just falling apart, either dying
Mm,
or sliding into madness. And so I was thinking about that and before this piece and kind of had that general idea of the text that just like wraps around and goes everywhere and you kind of get a sense that they're like just scribbling through the margins of this page and as their brains like falling apart and everything. And so so yeah, so it was kind of the impetus and then that spawned like okay, what's like a compressive setting? So she's in a vault like under the ground and then, it kind of snowballed from there as you get all the little dominoes that fall into a story.
did you take the story and write it and then add the sort of whispers throughout, or did you write the I think in my brain, I'm trying to figure out the actual structural of how you
Right.
made it into a story.
It kind of went both at the same time. I think I wrote the first block of the like the intertext first, like that little top section, as I was kind of figuring out exactly what that was going to look like. And then I went through and I knew that it was going to be a form, and so I actually laid out the actual form structure. And then I wrote, the story and, kept little like random fragments of words that were popping up as I was going along,
Mm.
and then went back in and filled out the rest of it. And originally, it was even a little bit more chaotic because in order to hit under 1,000 words, I used no spaces in any of the like lower opacity text. So it was all like one run-on word with capitals. It was insane looking, but yeah. So it was kind of like both feeding back into each other. So you were talking about the first sentence, and I was going to ask, what form the heart of this piece initially came to you. So is it kind of like an image or a feeling that turns into that first sentence and then kind of flows from there, or like how does that work for
Hmm.
you?
Yeah. I think like most writers, like you were talking about how you were fascinated with certain things, and that's what you're trying to explore with your writing now. I like to explore toxic relationships. It's one of my favorite things. And so I knew I wanted to write a piece about some kind of relationship that was sort of skewed in a power dynamic that was wrong. Um, but I didn't want it to be the perky teenage girl that married someone and then like now thinking about that I wanted it to be like this older couple that maybe their relationship has evolved into this. And so that was in my brain of thinking about some sort of relationship that wasn't fully right. And then also, I really loved this image of a older lady clicking her needles and then just complete silence around her, and the thoughts that might be happening in her brain while she's just knitting her scarf. Given that this zine is based on the fact that many of her pieces have been rejected many, many times, I was curious, how many times has this piece been rejected? If you know off the top of your head.
I do. So this one was rejected 17 times before they finally bought it, which was awesome. And I think a lot of that had to do with the unusual structure. Not the most for any of my stories, but certainly a hearty amount for one that I really loved and wanted to find a home.
Yeah, I was curious because I know most writers have a different level of here's the rejection level at which I'm going to stop. What made you keep going with this story when it got to that many rejections?
I don't really have that. I just keep submitting my stories because I love all of them in one way or another, and so it's just like they're going out. Anytime that I see a call that they haven't been to, I'm like, yeah, you go, you fit. Let's see if we you can do it.
I'm the same way. My personal philosophy is if I never go away, eventually someone will like what I wrote. So, or they'll tell me to stop and then I should never write again. But in theory, eventually someone will like it. So if I just keep submitting it out, one day someone will be like, this is it. This is the story that I needed.